Good evening, welcome everybody to ERL for round number 10. Once again, Tier 2 tonight. We are racing at Portimao, obviously based in Portugal. And tonight we have got two Portuguese drivers on the grid, Piera and Piers, of course, who are both familiar with the region. I am pretty sure, of course. Not necessarily sure they know Portimao necessarily, but then again, they are Portuguese. Just saying. But yeah, you never know. But nonetheless, you know, um, I know who won't be familiar with Portugal, and of course, that is Oh right, I need to go spectating. That makes sense. Otherwise I would be well, racing. Um but anyway, I've gone spectator now. And yeah. One thing I do want to do quickly, give me 2 secs. Rightio. So I'm now back. Sorry about the brief pause. Reason why I paused it, just so I can go and go into a private party, so then um, my voice won't come through and affect any of the drivers on the track, and won't be any sort of distraction. So yeah, just gone into a private party for that specific reasoning. You'll still be able to hear me, which I believe you should be able to. So won't affect you guys at all. Just means those, well, driving the game, potentially in my region, will not be able to hear me anymore. So it's only British drivers I'm thinking of, those based maybe in and around the UK or Europe. To be fair, a lot of drivers based in Europe. Anyway, Unsainted is the first driver out to attack then this Portimao circuit. And of course, Vigo only needs to come away from this race 60 points ahead in the championship, and he will be your Tier 2 champion tonight. I believe he will, unless, they're going to introduce triple points. But nonetheless, I have my doubts on that one. So, nonetheless, ultimately, we'll have to wait and see what happens here then tonight at, obviously, ERL with Unsainted. And, well, the championship race as well. In terms of the constructors, I'm going to have a quick look at that. Whilst the drivers may not be very interesting at the moment, hopefully the constructors has a bit of a better fight going on. And sadly to disappoint, the unfortunate scenario is no. Certainly not for the lead. There's still positions to be won. P2 still very much a unsettled contest. Williams and Alfa Romeo are the two there fighting it out, so that'll be a big fight between them two until I suppose the end of the season. I suppose also there's a bit of a fight also going for P2 in the drivers between Ralph Attari and Storms. There's about a 15 points between them, so there's a bit of a fight going on there, but unfortunately not many fights elsewhere. But Unsainted anyway, on a lap of this Portimao circuit. Then he is the first driver to, try and complete a lap here. he heads up the hill, getting a bit loose on the exit, having a bit of a mid oversteer during the corner. So already got 3 DNFs. Not sure if them drivers are on a qualifying ban. Then Porsche probably is. Same with Oscar, to be fair. And I imagine Danny might be. Those drivers, I'm pretty sure, are probably tier 3 drivers, so hence why they're serving qualifying bans maybe for tonight. Just to give the tier 2 lads a bit more of an opportunity. So, nonetheless, for Unsainted, he's going to round the final corner. And he's going to come across the line now, kick things off with a 19.7. 17.3 I was going to say. 19.7 for him. So, let's see who's next. I believe it's Pringles. He's on medium compound tyres though. So, for him, going to be losing a bit of time. Also, the car behind, I'm not sure if they're on an attack lap. If they are, this might be holding Iron Kid, I think that is, or Costa up in the process. Does look like they're trying to be on a bit of an attack lap. So here comes Pringles across the line, and it was actually, well, I'm not actually sure, was it Costa? I think it was actually Costa who set that lap with the 18.1. Might have been a little bit though held up by the McLaren driver there in the process, but Pringles, to be fair, was also on a lap, so you know that's just one of them sort of things, you know, where you haven't left the car ahead the right gap and you've caught them at the wrong time, and yeah, in the end that just affects them. But Storms now goes on to pole. That's more like it. 17.2 then they're here then, and yesterday's pole time was a 16.9 from obviously the Alfa Romeo driver of Stewart, who right now fighting for the Tier 1 championship at the moment. He is himself. So, yeah, that was the time yesterday. 17.2, certainly a bit closer to that 16.9. So, we're about now 3-4 tenths behind where we was yesterday. Vigo comes across the line, does a 17.5 on a set of mediums. So that's a very decent lap time, especially on that compound of tyre. Obviously, in terms of the tyres, obviously, mediums, obviously the middle range, softs is the softest range, and the hards is going to be the hardest compound. Effectively, that will determine your pace, effectively. The softer the compound, the more grip it gives you, the more purchase you'll have out of corners. The only disadvantage, though, will be to that tyre is, well, the softest tyre won't last as long, whereas a medium compound tyre, probably the best tyre of all the tyres, due to the fact it will be giving you good pace, but also able to be a bit more of a longevity tyre, so you certainly can push maybe a bit more on that medium compound tyre. It's only more of a race tyre, though, the medium is, whereas the soft is more of a qualifying tyre. However, we did see yesterday the softs did last quite a decent number of laps, so that certainly, for anyone who did watch the stream yesterday, may have took a note of that, and if they did take notes, then that may aid their strategies for tonight as well. Maybe not the most interesting race yesterday, with, you know, no safety cars, but I tell you what, after last week, well, 2 weeks ago in Hungary, I was quite thankful there was no safety cars due to the action we had in Tier 1. That was a very eventful race, probably the best race I've commentated on for, you know, all the right and wrong reasons, because, you know, it was such a, you know, like we had so many different changes of leaders. It was a really, well, it was a stream. If you haven't watched it, I recommend you go and watch it, because, yeah. Anyway, now, Vouncey, who racing for Aston Martin, has just begun his lap then here. We do have Piers ERL, or ERL Piers, to do a lap, obviously. He's in the Williams, but Vouncey is on a 22.4 for first sector, not a bad first sector from him. ERS is a bit low though, so that could be a bit of a concern. I'm not sure whether he is actually on a push lap because taking it very easy into some of the corners, but he's certainly pushing here, certainly in this part of the sector. A little bit, certainly full throttle, but then this part of the lap looks like not maybe. Still, we'll have to wait and see. Is rounding the final few corners now. And this is the final real corner at Portimao. The other two corners that you've got here, or the final corner, which is this one here, it's over the crest, but it's pretty much, as you can see, flat out. And yeah, flat out to the line from that final turn, pretty much. It's all about the exit off that final right-hander. And very critical, very key to get a good exit if you want to finish off your lap well around this circuit. Evening Dave once again. Am I able to invite Ralph Attari back? I will invite Ralph Attari if I've got him. I don't think I've necessarily got Ralph Attari, but I'll have a look. Trouble is now, I don't think... So Ralph Attari isn't showing online. I'm going to go quickly through this, see if he's there. Right, not in the online section, might be maybe in the not online section. Let's have a look to Mac, Danny, or Dankybot, Farman, Slow, Hazard, Alpha, Paul, Jensky, Jimmy, Cold Pillow. Actually, I'll send Cold Pillow an invite because I know, pretty sure he's meant to be joining in qualifying, so just send him a game invite. But otherwise, I can't actually see Ralph Attari. Go through it. So Valley, got too many friends really. Might need to unfriend some people at this rate. Yeah. I can't see Ralph Attari. If you maybe ask Iron Kid to do that, that obviously would be great. But yeah, not entirely sure. Okay, I think that's sorted anyway, so thank you Ironkid for that. Sorry I ain't got Ralph Attari as a friend. I'm gonna add maybe Ralph Attari after today's race, just in case. You never know. Yeah, good to have some more people from this league added then in future. Can invite people to the lobby if they get disconnected or whatnot. And that would be that sorted, especially in race, because sometimes I do, you know, see people get disconnected. Anyway, Pringles is on his second run here. He is on now a set of the softs, so he will have more time in him. Vigo's actually gone onto a 16.9. So that's pretty much the same lap time we had yesterday. Whether or not we'll beat yesterday's time is going to be something to look out for. Right now there's though a bit of a gap between the top three. However, must be said, certainly not as congested or, you know, tight in terms of the, what you call it, field spread. Yesterday we had quite a number of cars within about half a second of each other. Today we've only got about, well, 2 cars within half a second, so certainly in that regard it is a bit more less of a field spread. However, I do expect during the race that Vim Porsche, Danny Van Rolton, Oscar, Ono Dale, obviously, and Ralph Attari probably will come through the field pretty rapidly. So yeah, I'm not really counting them out, obviously, despite them not saying a time, just making the point. Field spread is a little bit less close. And is that a 5? No, it's a 9.84. I thought it was a 5.84. But yeah, my mistake there. Welcome to the chat, Tim. Hope you're doing well. So pretty much we are just waiting on the drivers to do the final runs. We'll watch Costa go around. He is currently heading through turn 4, I believe, or 3. I'm not sure if he's on a second lap. His ERS is a bit low. 53 thousandths down for the first sector on his current best time. Did do a 1:18.1, so is currently sat provisionally right now P4 as he heads over the crest and then back up the hill into the Portimao corner. And this corner is called Portimao. This is apparently the actual Portimao corner. But anyway, for Costa is improving by a 10th and a half now, so this would see him just creep into the 17s, into the 117.9s maybe. Bit of oversteer on the exit though, that's not going to help. However, does have a clear run this time as he'll run up towards the line, trying to take the shortest path of rolling resistance, and improves his time by 0.3 of a second to move into the 17s, and it's a 17.8 for the Haas driver then here at Portimao, and that's a very decent lap time by him. Moves himself clear obviously of the top 5 a little bit, so obviously that's a decent effort, but is it going to be decent enough or good enough to stay currently where he's at? Now, Piera is, well, on, I believe, a second attempt here. He has done a lot of laps on those tyres, so I'm not entirely sure what his strategy is here, because that's a very unusual strategy to be doing 5 laps on a set of softs. Yeah, maybe he's practicing his race run, not entirely sure, but by the looks of it, he's up 71 thousandths on his current best, which is a 1:20, and unfortunately that's going to be a spin for him, which makes him lose all that time that he would have gained through that first sector. So, Kid on outlap, Pringles on outlap, and Piano Jam on outlap. Now, Piano Jam is going to be then the first of the top 10 to come around and set a lap time here. 2 minutes still to go. So I imagine we'll start seeing more drivers come out the pits now in this final minute and a half of qualifying. So Piano Jam started his final lap now. And into turn 1, keeps it within the track boundaries. Obviously very easy to run wide. Also here's another corner where you can run wide and very much easily invalidate. So far Piano Jam hasn't invalidated at them corners, which is good because he can continue on then his lap. And for the first sector, up by about a 10th and 24 thousandths to a second then here, and that would certainly put him borderline into the 118s. So right now he is looking at getting ahead of the Aston Martin driver Vouncey at the moment, as he'll head through the middle sector then. And what is his middle sector looking like? It's a very good middle sector, 0.6 up, so over half a second improvement of lap time here. So if he can hold this lap time together, this could see Piano Jam be moved up the order very nicely, as he'll round the final corner now and up to the line. And it's a very big improvement. In fact, that's a huge improvement by Piano Jam, and moves himself up into the top 4. Very nicely done by the Alfa Romeo driver of Piano Jam then there. That's an absolutely Excellent lap. Now, Iron Kid is the next one on a lap, also up by a tenth in the first sector, currently on at 18.3. So that is certainly already a decent starting point, but can he improve by even more as we head towards the business end of this qualifying? So he is then going through the middle sector now, through Portimao corner, and then back down the hill before going back up it again. 3/10 up on his lap so far. Then for this middle sector, Storms hasn't improved. He's crossed the line and is on a 17.2 still. So that means only really limited Danny, I believe, is the driver that can really probably take pole position away. Obviously, unless there's a huge surprise somewhere in store for us. So here comes then Iron Kid to the line now, and he's going to cross the line, improves by 4/10 and moves himself up into 6th. So what is limited Danny doing? He's coming around the second final corner now, then through the final corner, Ralphie up into 3rd, but here comes then limited Danny to the line. Is this going to see him move up the order? For now remains P4, but here comes Vigo to the line, your championship leader and championship elect, then I suppose, and it's a 16.5, crushes your position here at the Portimao circuit, then here in Portugal. Very lovely job. He will be on pole for today. Pringles comes across the line now. It's at 18.2, stays P9 though, and Piera is the final driver to come around then the final corner. However, isn't going to improve, has invalidated, so there we go then. That is the Portuguese qualifying for Tier 2 today. And Vigo then with a 16.5, absolutely crushing his opponents. A absolute stonking lap by him. Pretty much matching what I could probably do in a time trial. And yeah, fantastic work by Vigo there. To get himself into pole, but as I said, there is quick drivers out there tonight, so do not discount Oscar, do not discount Vim, Porsche, or I suppose some of the drivers that would have served qualifying bans due to the fact they're reserving from a higher tier 3 down to tier 2. So obviously, even though tier 3 technically, yeah, don't worry. That's a story for another day. But anyway, Vigo is your pole sitter by 6.5 tenths. Then it's Ralphie in P3, Limited Danny P4, and then it's Piano Jam rounding out the top 5. Down to 6th then is the two Hasses of Kosa and Iron Kid, a Greek then pair. And then you got Unsainted and Pringles in 8th and 9th. Vouncey is in 10th and Piera is the final qualifier for today. Then Porsche will start 12th. Danny is in then 13th. Beggars or Oscar is in 14th. Then Ono is in 15th. Dots or Pierres is in 16th. And then forgot who the last driver. Ralphatari at the back of the grid. So, the drivers have selected their strategies then here in Tier 2, and it's time to go racing once again. And it is go, but on my screen a bit of a delay, But we are now finally racing then here at the Portimao circuit, and once again a good start for the pole sitter from that first row of the grid. Then a little bit of drivers going off in the background, but there's a McLaren around, and it's Pringles who's spinning at the back of the grid, so he's going to be tumbling down the order. A few more bumps and shunts going on a bit further down the field, and we've also got a spin of, it looks like, I think that was Vancy, was it, or maybe someone else. Actually, it was Honor, I think, or Piera, one of them two. Anyway, going back to the action, and we got Vancy off the track. Oscar already up into 11th, and Vin Porsche already up into 7th. So he's a real big climber on this first opening lap. Obviously, these are some of the Tier 3 drivers already making up those critical positions. And yeah, unfortunately for Vigo, he's actually lost the lead. What has happened here at the front? I'm not too sure, but Storms has overtaken then the AlphaTauri driver of Vigo, and Vigo is now down into P2. Storms up into first. Obviously, Vigo doesn't need to win this race, but does need to come out of it with, well, no less than a 60-point lead or a 61-point lead, or no, 62-point lead, because there'd be 2 points for fastest lap. So he would need no less than that, and I believe he would be your Tier 2 champion tonight. Someone can actually do a maths if they want. I believe that's all that's required. Obviously, if he wins, there's no two ways about it. It would be your Tier 2 champion anyway, but have to wait and see what goes on then. So, Storms then leads the first lap. It weren't Vigo, because Vigo's been overtaken. Einkid then is currently in 4th, but he's under pressure by then Vim Porsche. Also Danny Van Rolton, I presume, I'm just going to call him Danny, is going for a move on Vim Porsche, gets the move done into the Portimao corner, and then overtakes Vim Porsche. And is he going to go for it on Einkid? By the looks of it, the answer to that is yes. He's got the position then on Einkid too. Einkid still there, hanging on, or trying to hang on at least. And then there is Danny going. So Danny's already making up those critical positions and is chasing then after then your race leaders right now. He's got a bit of a gap to the next car now. Has got 2.7 seconds to make up, but here also goes Vim Porsche, looking in the wrong direction. I am a little bit off the track there from Vim Porsche. Certainly going to have to go around the long way here, make the long way work. Got the inside line though for the next corner. A little bit of a shunt between the two, and I think Vim Porsche has might just lost a bit of his front wing end plate, and the answer to that is yes, he has indeed. So a bit of front wing there missing for Vim Porsche. How critical will that be for the AlphaTauri driver? That could be absolutely devastating for him, because obviously, well, at least in this game, and in pretty much all the games since maybe F1 2020, I would say, or maybe even before that, maybe since F1 2019, wing damage has been one of the most key elements to playing the game. You get a bit of wing damage, your race can be highly affected by it and really hinder your performance. But right now it does look like Vim Porsche is not being hindered too much, even though he is a bit wide of there, but will have good straight line pace. However, he's also got Piers to deal with, and here goes Piers, going for maybe a double overtake, is he? Here he goes. And Vim Porsche in the end gets past. Piers doesn't get the double overtake, so Piers having to settle down just for now. And Vim Porsche is going to be then chasing, or been chased by then ERL Piers here in the Williams. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, ERL Piers, you need to change your name back to ERL Piers rather than DOTS Piers ERL. What does DOTS stand for, I do wonder? Driver of the day? No, driver of the season. That would be better. Driver of the season, Piers, ERL. Then, not necessarily sure he has been driver of the season. However, that would probably go to Vigo here in Tier 2. Vigo's actually made a pass for the lead, but I think that might just change once again. Storm's got the DRS, and you can see he's having a go then at retaking the lead. A bit of contact made. Looked like Vigo didn't really want to give that lead up to the Williams driver, but in the end, obviously had to do so, as Storm's with the DRS, the much faster car there. And also the other Williams has got past the other AlphaTauri, so both AlphaTauris in the space of that lap getting overtaken by both Williams cars. And yep, that's a, well, important move for them two in this race. Valency has been disqualified, so that's his race over, unfortunately. Not entirely sure what he got disqualified for, but that is definitely the end of his day. And a bit wide there from Piers, so certainly going to be picking up a warning there. Obviously, you're only entitled to 3 warnings around here. Certainly one of the easier tracks to pick up those warnings and get those penalties added to your time. So, yeah, that's going to be critical to avoid too many of those, because that certainly will hurt you in the long run. But for now, we've only got 2 drivers with time penalties. Piera and Unsainted both have got those penalties. Obviously, I believe those are 3 seconds. We'll have a quick look. Yep, 3 seconds each. Here's a tyre graphic, just so you know what tyres everyone is on. And Dots is his esports team. Fair enough. But driver of the season does work too. Driver of the season. Nah. Anyway, to be fair, esports is good, I suppose. Yep. To be fair, there's many esports probably drivers, or capable esport drivers in this league. Here at ERL, certainly Danny right now is probably one of them. Proving right now he's got mega pace so far. Expect him to be really putting the front 2 under a bit of pressure in the next couple of seconds. And Piers, or not Piers, Vim, Porsche and Ironkid fighting. Then this is 4th position, both of them on a bit of a different tyre. Right now, Ironkid on that softer compound, which now 7 laps old, will be starting to probably feel the effect of that tyre wear. And as we now go on to lap, well, no, sorry, now we're on lap 7. They're 6 laps old then, those tyres. But still might be feeling a little bit of effect, but Ironkid has got past that wounded Vim Porsche right now. And this could be a fight that rages on, maybe all race long, in truth. Because, to be fair, I don't really know if Vim Porsche would want to lose about, well, what would it be, 5 seconds to Ironkid? Just for a change of front wing, potentially. I mean, he could lose that 5 seconds, but, yeah, I'm not really sure he will feel it's worth doing so. I think if he wanted to lose that 5 seconds, he might come in a bit earlier, but he is now past, again, the house driver of Ironkid, and go actually up to then these two. Danny making another move, and is now up into 2nd on those medium compound tyres. And next up for Danny is going to be then Vigo, your championship leader and your current race leader, who right now is driving a good race himself. So here then goes Danny, and he is going to now chase after that AlphaTauri then. 6 tenths behind, and yeah, just going on board with then the AlphaTauri driver, not AlphaTauri, the Alpine driver, behind the AlphaTauri driver, and yeah, gets on the power so early. through there. In here, our aggressive is also with the throttle tracing. Immediately, just on the power. It's quite impressive to watch so far, but he's on those medium tyres, so I imagine he will be going to a set of the softs a bit later. Also, Storm's doing a really good job, considering he was, well, on a 17.2 in qualifying, doing a really good job to keep up with Vigo, who was certainly the class of qualifying, but right now, class of this race is Danny. But here goes Danny then, on the inside, got the inside line for the final corner. We'll also have a DRS as we go down the main straight, because he was behind in the DRS detection point. Now does tuck back in, but look at Storms going then for the overtake potentially here, and I think it's going to be Storms, but unfortunately has been tagged around, and that sees him now down the field, and that probably going to get investigated after the race in the steward's room. So yeah, not sure what happened there, just caught the tagging around. Looks like Storms was going for a move on 2 cars there, and in the end, looks like, well, he came off the worst driver of them all. And we did see a similar incident actually yesterday to that in nature, where we saw that car, can't remember who it was, but went for a very similar move to what Storms did. Went for 2 cars for 1, and in the end came off the worst of the pair. Trouble is with turn 1, it's not really a very inviting. Vigo's actually also had, I think, a moment, because he's now down to 3rd, and your new race leader then is Danny then here. Then Ralphie now up into 2nd, Vigo down into 3rd, Dots and Piers down in 4th. Now, I'm not sure if Vigo is giving up the time he may have gained here, because he seems like, yeah, I don't know what Vigo is actually doing. I think he might be trying to give up the time sportingly, because I think he might feel a bit guilty there. That's just my hypothetical theory I've got going on here. And if so, I tell you what, that's very sporting of Vigo to do that. Because, yeah, why? Well, I imagine he'll still go to the steward's room afterwards, potentially. You just never know. But if you can also solve stuff on track and be a sportsman like that, then why not? Just do it, I suppose. That's only my theory, unless he's struggling with pace, which could be the other theory. The only thing, well, we'll have to see. Does he let Dots or Piers through here? ERL Piers through. If he does, then that obviously says yes, he is giving up that time he may have gained. If he don't, and he defends for this position, then I suppose he's just struggling with the tyres. But anyway, we go towards turn 1, and no, he defends the position, so my theory is short-lived then here. Probably just then struggling maybe with tyres, I suppose. I really don't know, because yeah, it has dropped quite a bit to already Piers and to to Vigo. But yeah, he does not really put much defence there. So I'm really not sure. I'm just confused anyway. But that is it anyway. Piers up into now the top 3, who started this race also down the order and quite far back. Now, as I say, Vigo would have to leave this race with obviously 62 points or more to be your season champion. So I'm pretty sure right now, depending obviously any penalties, he would probably be doing enough. Right now, I don't think Storms would be doing enough to overturn that 84-point deficit down towards that 62-point margin, which right now Storms would need to do if he wants to keep his championship hopes alive. Still getting into the final 2 rounds. Obviously, whilst may not be over, but certainly looking unlikely. Danny disappearing off into the distance. Already got a 5.7 second lead, so doing a fantastic job he is then. Right now, Vigo looks like he's struggling to get to grips with his car. Looks like he's burned through his tyres very quickly indeed, and we're only on lap 12. Yesterday we saw pit stops probably around this region, so I expect pit stops to be taking place sooner rather than later. I expect those pit stops probably come within the next 3 or 4 laps, probably for the soft runners, so expect Iron Kid probably in soon. Probably expect also Storms and Vigo and Piers in soon, so yeah, can expect them probably. Well, which one of them will blink first is going to be also critical. I think Vigo might blink first, because he's the one who, personally, I would say, is losing the time. But actually, it's going to be Piers blinking first, and Piers has picked up another 3-second penalty. But I'm not sure what he's picked up 3 seconds there for, because he wouldn't have exceeded track limits. So, yeah, that one is a bit of a peculiar one, but unless I've just missed him exceeding track limits, but not sure whether that'll be able to be removed, because yeah, certainly looking from my angle looked all fine, just was coming into the pits, so you shouldn't pick up warnings for coming into the pits really, but that could affect his race anyway. I'm not entirely sure. Like yesterday, it's starting to become a bit stale, this race already, and we're only on lap 13, so no offence, if someone could maybe do something, be very nice to see, because pretty much, well, the best battle we've got on track is probably Unsainted at the moment, who's chasing down Pringles for 14th and 15th, so that's really the closest battle on track we've got at the moment. So this obviously, well, whilst it would be for position, but Pringles does have a penalty to his name. Does get a good switchback though, and that's a very nice switchback from Unsainted. Gets the move done and up the inside. And yeah, that's an excellent move by the Red Bull driver there to move himself now ahead of the McLaren and up into then 14th, but does have a 3.3 second gap to gain on Piano Jam. Piano Jam though isn't really in an ideal position. He's on 10 lap hold hards. I don't think he'll be able to get those tyres to the end. He's going to be probably getting closed in, yeah, pretty quickly by the Aston Martin. As we see Storms now making a move on then Ono Dole coming out the pits there. So both Vigo and Storms make their now stop, and that's then their stops out of the way. 1.8 seconds splitting them two. Coaster actually is closing in on Vim Porsche, so I'm seeing now a bit of battles come alive here towards the end of this race. So this is a battle for currently the final podium spot. Vim Porsche currently is occupying that, and in fact Limited Danny spun, but it looks like he's kept his car still going, and whilst he will lose those positions, he obviously, well, on those 13 lap old tyres probably will come in, I suspect, now because of that. But yeah, that takes him out pretty much out of the hunt for probably a top 5, top 10, well, not top 10, but top 5 result here today. So, lap 15, still your race leader, Danny, who Now almost has 10 seconds over his nearest rival, which is Ralphie the Aston Martin. Both of them two doing a very good job at pulling away here today. Beggars or Oscar going off the track a bit wide there. That's going to affect him and getting chased down by Piers for what is right now P4. However, soon as Piers goes through, that will see Piers up into 4th. Right now, he's probably the true last holder of that position. Then Porsche has also stopped, so he's come in. So here goes then Piers with the DRS, and he's going to make a move pretty simple down the main straight and gets that move done into turn 1 then there. So Oscar down to 5th, but does still yet have to make his stop. Vigo currently being a bit chased down by Storms. And Storms right now does have a penalty. Of course, 3 seconds, I believe that is. So, if I'm going to double check. I know, 5 seconds. Speeding in pit lane, then that would be 4. So, yeah, that's not ideal because also, even if he did report Vigo, I'm not really sure what penalty Vigo would get because if Vigo only, let's say, got a, I don't know, let's just hypothetically say gets a 3 seconds or a 5 seconds, depending on how much the stewards see Vigo at fault for that incident, that turn 1 incident, if they saw Vigo at fault at all. Because I imagine it will get reported to the stewards anyway afterwards. That just might not help him out in terms of anyway gaining the position off Vigo. So, in the end, might just be not a waste of time making the report, but just in the end, no impact for the outcome of his title hopes, which therefore have to say the title therefore is going Vigo's way at the moment, unless something dramatically happens in the next, well, 15, 16 laps, which I highly doubt. So, lap 18, still the leaders continue on, of course. Expect them to go to about lap 20, put on a set of softs. Piers got 3 seconds in there, and that's not good for his race. Right now, not limited, Danny. Piano Jam been overtaken by Pringles. Unsainted back down the order now. He's trying to chase down Limited Danny, but Danny is on those fresher, harder tyres now. So for Unsainted, that's a bit of a handicap being on those tyres. But nonetheless, we are seeing a move made up by someone. Oh no, that's just a pit stop made by Ono. So Onodel is into the pits, and that sees him. Will rejoin, by the looks of it, behind his teammate, or just actually ahead? Just ahead. And so for him, we'll get past Pringles, but has got quite a big gap to make up to then Oscar, I believe it is, who's ahead of him, 10 seconds. So yeah, that's a huge gap, plus not really much of a tyre offset. However, doesn't have a penalty. What penalty does Oscar have? 3 seconds, so would only have to make up about maybe 7 seconds. But yeah, now got a 12-second gap, so about a 10-second gap he needs to make up. That's quite the uphill task when you're on the same tyre and probably running similar pace, within maybe a tenth or two of each other overall. Costa's come in for another stop, I believe it is. I believe that's his second stop. Not actually sure. I'm going to check. I know it's his first. Will rejoin behind his teammate, Anchored, but I imagine we'll get past him pretty rapidly here. So, I don't think he'll be held up by his teammate for too long. Was running, wasn't it P3 or somewhere? Was running somewhere, ultimately. In a way, no offence to Portugal, and no offence to any Portuguese drivers or viewers, but this race over the last 2 days, my days, has it been probably the worst racetrack I've ever witnessed for racing. It is, just the gaps on it are too big, like, between everyone. I don't really want to complain too much, but not a great track. Please, in future, can we ban Portugal off the calendar? Because, so the gap's so big. Like, I mean, Costa's gonna literally be past his teammate, and then we've got to wait for about, 6 seconds it is, up the road for him to catch Vin Porsche. If he catches Vin Porsche, because, not much of a tyre deficit between that one. Right now. I mean, the closest battle right now we've got on track is between Piano Jam and Limited Danny, but Piano Jam is sort of racing a little bit behind the curve here. 17 lap hold mediums those are, so I imagine they're going to be soon past their sell-by date, and he's going to be dropping off a cliff like no tomorrow into the hands of AlphaTauri. Already 1.5 seconds down now here behind the McLaren, so that's one of the closest battles apparently on the track right now. Other than that, there is a bit of a battle between Storms. Storm is run out 1 second, so it's now going to just creep into the 9/10 barrier, so bit of a battle now going to start emerging between these two again. Obviously, they did have a battle for that race lead. Also, Danny's now in. Also, Dots, or Piers, sorry, will come out 2 seconds behind. But with, obviously, Danny on those softs, he's going to have, I imagine, blistering pace. And, Piers will once again fall into the grasp of then Ralphie, who I imagine is also going to have blistering pace, soon going to be creeping onto the back of the Porsche. So we might as well watch Ralphie come through the field then during these final 10 laps. Can he get onto the podium, and if so, can he get up into P2 so far? He would, how much of a gap does he have to make up? Has to make up about 11-12 seconds, but does have much fresher tyres than the cars ahead of him, so I imagine it won't be too much of an issue. So let's see if he can do just that, and that's where I'm gonna keep my eyes on things, because as I say, been pretty stale racing so far. Like, not necessarily when the field was close together, it was pretty good, but the gaps that have emerged over the time have unfortunately led it just to become a dry race, which literally it's dry enough already, but it's become an even drier race due to the gaps that have emerged. But nonetheless, Ralphie is now onto the back of his first, I suppose, victim or target, whatever you want to say. And here he'll go with the DRS. Does have a bit of ERS to deploy, but I don't think he's going to deploy it. Chooses to tuck in behind Vin Porsche, looking for the exit, and I think he's going to have the better exit, but nope. Vin Porsche manages to out-drag him and will remain ahead. So maybe not going aggressive there. Bit of an error from Ralphie's point of view, but we'll have to see how much that comes back to bite him in the later phase of this race. Already, after one lap, Danny's already 8 seconds ahead of then Piers, who is literally flown away. I did say he would fly away. Then. Also, to note, Storms is past Vigo. Vigo might actually get past, so we'll have a quick look at this one first. Then, so here comes Vigo. I don't think he's going to do it, but here goes Ralphie. He is going to do it, and he's going to take that position now. Finally away from the AlphaTauri driver. And next up is another AlphaTauri driver of Vigo. So Vigo with 9 lap hole tyres, obviously now, so that's a little bit more of a bigger offset between himself and then Porsche. So now he can go chase after Vigo. Also, Vigo is battling away with Storms, which may help Ralphie even more to gain on them, because when you battle with another car, you are going to lose a little bit of pace to the rivals around you, of course. But right now, I feel Storms and Vigo probably aren't battling for that final podium spot. They're battling for 4th and 5th at the moment in net result. And Ralphie already down to 5.5 seconds and probably be under 5 seconds at the end of this lap. So that'll be the gap. Also, there are potentially pens coming Vigo's way, potentially. But we're not too certain of that. That will be obviously judged, as I said, after the race. Storms, though, has got penalty of 5 seconds. So, yeah, here we go then. Vigo having a look at the move into turn 1. Doesn't go for it. Holds off for now. But got a good exit through turn 1 and 2. So, pretty much, if he can keep within that rear wing of then Storms and get a good exit up the hill, this is going to be a good opportunity to retake then that P3 away from Storms. But in the end, as we get to the hairpin of turn 5, Vigo doesn't manage to get the move done and remains behind the Williams once again for another lap. So, Vigo P4, then here still. Ralphie is gaining even more, down to now 4.2 seconds is the gap this lap. So again, we are just really watching where can Ralphie get his car up to. Can he maybe get into the top 2 and ahead of Iron Kid has retired. I think that was in the pits, so that's the end of his race, unfortunately. Not sure why, but he has obviously chosen enough's enough for tonight. Fair enough. Wasn't really running in a great position, I suppose, at the back there, so probably a bit frustrating maybe with the points he was getting. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I have to see after the race. Anyway, back to these two. Vigo's gotten back past Storms. And a little bit of a, rear of that car getting a bit loose on the exit as he went up over the hill. Very difficult corner to get right, that one, to be fair. Very easy to do what Vigo's just done. And yeah, car does like to get loose for a lot of the corners around here. It's one of them tracks where you've got to kind of have a very progressive and controlled right foot. You can't be too aggressive around here, because yeah, it will bite you very harshly. Here it will. Anyway, here goes Storms again, retaking that P3, and with the DRS very easily back past then the AlphaTauri driver and up into third, sorry. So, Oscar has been overtaken by Costa. Ralph also gaining on Limited Danny, and I believe that's going to see Ralph overtake here. So here comes Ralph on those 8-lap hole mediums, trying to go around the outside if he can do so. Has a look, but in the end couldn't do so. Looks at the inside line now for the next one, and in the end doesn't get that one done either. But can he get a good exit? Yes, he can, and got the DRS once more. Danny defending the inside line, but as we get to the next braking zone, Danny's still got his car on the inside, so forced to go around the long way here for AlphaTauri. Can he get that Ferrari out dragging the McLaren? And the answer to that is yes. But Limited Danny still going to hold on. Goes off the circuit to retain the position. And ultimately, not sure if he picked up another penalty there. If he did, then fair enough. But, yep, held on to the position through going off the track. Really, in truth, probably should give that place now back to the Ferrari. But that's probably not going to happen. I don't think. A little bit of a shunt by AlphaTauri as we head up the hill. So this is probably the most exciting battle so far we've had today, or for quite some while. Anyway, AlphaTauri going for it again with the DRS. Didn't really look too effective, the DRS on that Ferrari, so it tells me probably he's running a lot of drag and a lot of downforce, but is trying to make the move. Through turn one we go. Side by side. Goes off the track. Forced off the track by Limited Danny. However, that is a very tough track corner to go side by side. Trying to now go around the outside. This time got the inside line for turn 4 and gets the move done. But did he have the DRS? I think actually Limited Danny has the DRS. Can he maybe come back with it? The answer to that is no. But as we get to the next braking zone, then it is AlphaTauri ahead. And now, can AlphaTauri break away from them two? We'll have to find out. So that gap now 1.1. That's the end of that battle. So Costa doing a good job as well, holding up Oscar here. He is, though, on those softs, but I imagine them softs probably going to be starting to fade out now. Maybe not necessarily for Ralphie. He'll probably still be, I imagine, might be feeling still the benefits of them soft tyres. But, yeah, I do question, can he get up into the top two? Danny, so far, Danny Van Rulten is doing a fantastic job up front. 19-second gap. If he wanted to, probably come back into the pits. About 25 seconds lost, but to be fair, he probably got the pace to overtake all these cars again. I wouldn't be shocked at that. So, yeah, doing just a marvellous job right now. Started obviously all the way at the back. He's in a league of his own today, and so far, so very impressive by him. Anyway, after this race, I think he needs to tell me how he's that quick. Because literally, that is just... Well, to be that quick, I suppose... I don't know. I'd love to be that quick, to be fair. Pretty sure we all would. But it's also about the consistency as well, I suppose. Yeah. It's just, you know, impressive to watch. And makes me jealous of course, of him. Not gonna lie. Anyway, here goes Oscar, making a move on Costa, and down the inside, obviously is on the hards. Those softs probably now starting to go away from the Haas driver there, and that sees obviously Costa now down to 7th. Have to see if Oscar can stretch out his advantage. I'm a bit surprised Ralphie hasn't now made more of an impact into the two ahead of him. He was making an impact at first, but it hasn't really made an impact as of late. So, that, well, he will get on the podium, but due to the penalty, I suppose, Storms has got, but I'm not really, well, I would have thought maybe a bit more of an impact would have been. Trouble is, though, also, well, Pierce has got 6 seconds of penalties. And those are probably 3-second penalties, meaning they are not going to be able to be taken away unless he can prove that he did not warrant those 6 seconds. But that's a very difficult thing to do, in truth, in most leagues and in most cases. So Ralphie probably still good enough to finish P2 here, because I imagine there might be a penalty coming Vigo's way. If not, it'll be definitely a P3. Due to the 2 Williams situation. If he can get past Vigo, certainly a good chance he'll finish P2. And if he can get past Storms, but he needs to push on if he can do that. And those mediums are now 16 laps old. And you know what? Danny's decided he's coming in, but now he's picked up a 5-second penalty in the process of doing so. So, has he potentially thrown away a race victory here for Danny? This is going to be interesting, but, you know, to be fair, with the pace he's got and with now the tyre offset he's going to have, yeah, I'm just going to sit back and watch. He will come out behind Piers, so he does have a 5-second penalty, though. Let's see how quick he can get past Piers, because this is going to be very interesting. I give it half a lap. That's what I'm giving it. Let's see if it is going to be half a lap for Danny here. So, already that gap's down to about 2/10. So, yeah. Right now, Piers is probably going to be a sitting duck. And is it going to be half a lap? Just under half a lap, I would say. That's just under. So, yeah, basically half a lap. There we go. Back into the race lead. That is pretty insane, pretty mad by him to do just that. Anyhow, back to the battle for P2, P3. And right now, it is Vigo sitting pretty to take P2. If he does take P2, and no penalty is applied, he will be the champion. I do believe either way he will be the champion anyhow, because I don't think he's finishing outside the top 5 for Vigo. So Vigo probably will be your champion in literally a lap time. And, you know, what a season it's been by Vigo. He's done a fantastic job to take the championship today. Fully deserved to win it now. With 2 rounds to go, I don't think anyone can overhaul him in that regard. And it might even confirm, I believe, AlphaTauri are champions through this result too, with 2 rounds to spare. So, yeah, Vigo wasn't quite champion last time out, because there was an 84-point gap and would have needed, I believe, to be 93 points ahead in the standings. Because I don't believe we've got any more sprint races, and even if we do, I don't think that would be even enough with the points there. Unless there's another 50 points up for grab somewhere, which I don't know about. But anyhow, we're on to the final lap. So, Danny has already built out a 5-second gap within about a lap. And he is going to be your race winner today. And what an amazing drive by this man. He has been absolutely phenomenal. You know, just reigned supreme here in Portugal. And in literally less than now a lap time, he is going to take the victory here at Portimao for Tier 2. So, insane pace by him. And started at the back, bear in mind, not the easiest of places to start a race from, because obviously when you do start that far back, you got to be very mindful of all the things going on around you. But he was mindful of that. He's come through the field delightfully and is rounding the final corner now in ERL Tier 2 tonight. Around the final corner he comes, across the line, and it's going to be an emphatic victory for the Alpine driver to take the win tonight here in Tier 2 by 7.7 seconds in the end. And it's going to be Piers coming home P2, but Vigo will slot into P3. Now, Ralphie, will he get the final podium spot? The answer to that question is yes. He gets it by 0.3 of a second in the end there. We'll have to see what happens in the penalty room, but I can confirm now then, due to that result, well, I'm 99.9% sure Vigo is your Tier 2 champion for tonight. He is going to be then, well, delighted with that outcome. Also, AlphaTauri probably as well, securing the constructors too. So very well done to them. Well done to AlphaTauri. Well done to Vigo. He's been absolutely emphatic this season. Many wins to his name here in Tier 2. He's been the class driver of the field all season long. May have not been necessarily the best today. And, you know, may not necessarily have been the best in quite a number of races, you know. But in the end, he's been consistently on the podium. Took him the wins as well when he needed them wins. And qualifying, well, he's been the qualifying master this season here in Tier 2 for pretty much the entire season. So there we go, there we have it. That is Tier 2 tonight for this one. And yeah, we'll go through race result shortly. But it is the Alpine of Danny on the top step of the podium, with Vigo P2 and Ralphie is in P3. And Vigo, of course, is your champion for Tier 2 this season. So, Danny comes then across the line in P1, Vigo P2, then it's Ralphie P3, and Piers in P4. Then it is Storms P5, Oscar P6, Costa P7, Ono is in P8, then Porsche P9, AlphaTauri P10, good result from him. Limited Danny 11th, then a lap down we have Piano Jam, Pringles, Unsainted, Piera, and Iron Kid did not finish, and same with Valency, also not finishing today's race. So that is your Tier 2 result. Vigo is your champion, Danny is your race winner. That is Tier 2 then. See you all next time for what will be Italy. And if you've obviously enjoyed it, then yeah, all I'm saying, obviously, Danny has to be driver of the day. Of course. Or, actually, you know what? I'm not going to give Danny driver of the day. I'm going to give Piers the driver of the day. Even though he got them penalties, 16th to 4th, very good result from him. So, yeah, he's my driver of the day. Piers, personally, commentator driver of the day. But for Danny, whilst he would have been driver of the day, but I feel like he had a bit of a not unfair advantage, just a bit too much pace, really, to be probably in this, like, league or tier, if that makes sense. Probably a bit unfair on the rest. But, yeah, nonetheless, great, well, not a great race. I'm glad Portugal is over for both Tier 1 and Tier 2. And hopefully next week in Italy, it'll be a bit more exciting in terms of racing action. But until the next time, please obviously like, subscribe, and share the channel. And obviously maybe join the Discord too. That'd be very good as well. And until the next time, have a great evening, have a great day, and Tier 3 will be back tomorrow. Obviously I won't, but I'll be back next week, and see you all then for round number 11, the Italian Grand Prix.